So it's been a long time, man.
I know, I know. How have you been?
I'm good. I'm good. I can't complain. I mean, it's been what, like over 10 years?
It has, and it doesn't seem like, like we're old people now. You think about graduating college, and it's like that was almost 10 years ago now. It's crazy.
Right. So how do you feel? Do you feel, I don't feel old. I feel like I barely reached my prime.
I don't feel old, but when you think about it, it's like, man, we might be old, but I don't feel like it. I still feel very youthful.
Okay. Okay. Good. Good. Well, just to get rolling. So one of the reasons why I felt like I wanted to interview you specifically is actually, let me tell you, I was meditating right before
Okay.
this just to kind of, get my mind right, and I could just like ask the universe to, I don't know, tell me what I'm supposed to say and the questions I'm supposed to ask, right? And so, what just came to me was messengers of faith, right? I don't know, that's just what came to me. And, and I thought about it and I was like, even back then, I always kind of felt like you were very conscious, very wise for someone that age, right?
Yeah.
And I feel like you also were like very studious. Like I remember you like pulling all nighters at the library or whatever. So I feel like when you mix that wisdom and that consciousness with like that academia and that like go getter attitude, like something's supposed to happen there, right?
Right, right. Yeah.
Right. And so I
Oh,
feel like we kind of on the same journey as far
okay.
as like being passionate about delivering a message to people and educating people just about like their power and what we're capable of and what life can really be,
Man,
right?
right.
And so that's why I wanted
Uh,
to interview Lopez, the god
yeah.
of vibrations, lord of light, master of energy, and king of
Amen.
dimensions.
Hey, let them know.
Yeah. So just to start, my first question is so you can talk about your accolades and degrees if you like, but I like to give people a choice. So just kind of tell me, what do you feel like is your purpose and where are you at on your journey right now?
Okay. So yeah, we met at Mercer. I ended up graduating in 2011 with an engineering degree, mechanical engineering, and went out into corporate America. Very excited, very like ambitious. My goal at that point was just like conquer the world through corporate America. And that was going well well, it still is going well, but it went well initially. And then it was like the longer time went on, the more time went on, the universe started to reveal certain things to me. And it actually started like my senior year in college. I started reading the Bible, like really reading it like a book.
Yeah.
In reading the Bible, it really just changed my perspective on a lot of things that we were taught and told. And so, once I graduated, there was a time period where you're just adjusting to the new life. And then, it sort of kicked back in, and I started to do more reading and more studying. And the more I feel like the more in tune with the universe I became, the more I began to feel maybe a little bit out of place in corporate America. And so, you know, I had to really evaluate why I'm here, what I'm doing, what's my path, where I'm going. And it's like the more I study, the more knowledge of self I got, the more in tune I came into doing what I'm doing now, which is like trying to enlighten the people. So I definitely feel like my purpose is to reveal certain truths that have been hidden from us, and to change narratives that we've been given that are not exactly what we would call reality. And I think that's right in tune with the times. Like this is the age of information, right? And so, as Black people, how I feel we fit into that mold in the age of information is that our generation is responsible for revealing those truths. Our parents didn't necessarily have all these truths. Some people did, but it's very few. And I feel like our generation, we're just coming into so much information. And that's a part of, our generation's purpose is
Mm-hmm.
feeling these truths and start to, share this enlightenment and change this narrative. And me personally, I just feel like I'm playing my role within that.
Right. Well, I got my bell. Let me ring my bell on that. Like,
Okay.
that just bring me to some conscience. Like, you're right. I do feel like our generation is supposed to be like, the light workers. And, speaking of just like, being a voice, being a vessel, and speaking the truth, right? So I looked on your website, right? Culture and consciousness, right? And you want to
Yeah.
know what the first thing I thought was. And it's crazy how the mind works, but this is my first thought.
Okay.
My first thought was, oh damn, brother, you in danger.
Oh shit.
That's it. Ain't that fucked up? I mean, that's so, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like the stuff
You
that
ain't the
you
first person.
saying is so like, let me tell you what I was I wrote this down. And after I was like reflecting on it, right? This is something I jotted down. So I said, imagine the chaos you'll cause when you actually stand up, especially when we consider that someone has built their life on your back. And so the stuff that you saying on the website, like you trying to disrupt the whole system. Like you
Mhm.
trying to stand up, so which they got to fall off of your back for you to stand up, right? And so
Right.
I feel like that's really dangerous, especially like
Yeah.
with the movies that's been coming out. We look at Judas and the Black Messiah. It make you feel like, and Black History Month to me makes me
Oh man.
aware that if you speak the truth, you are in danger and you
And
go.
that's a
Yeah.
part of what they do. They do that on purpose so that you don't do that. But see, here's I feel really passionate about that. And so, you're not the first person that has said that, and I'm very aware of what
Mm-hmm.
happened to those leaders in the past. But we as Black men, we have to be willing to die for something. What are you willing to die for? You know what I'm saying? And so if you are really in your purpose and you really feel um I don't even want the passionate is not even the right word. If you understand where the reality that Black people are supposed to be living in or could be potentially living in, then what are you willing to do to help get us to that point? And
Mm-hmm.
the only way that a people reaches liberation or freedom is sacrifice of life and sacrifice of comforts. And
Mm-hmm.
I feel like we as Black men have failed is because there's not enough of us that are willing to sacrifice. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm saying that on my live is like when Gucci had the whole blackface thing came out where they had the whole, I guess they put a blackface on the shirt. We couldn't even stop wearing Gucci as a people.
Mm-hmm.
So just think about that's the dynamic. How far are we away from being able to lose comfort in life and we couldn't even stop wearing Gucci? And so I think we're failing in that department. But yeah, man, I mean, what are you willing to do to get us where we should be?
Yeah, I feel like I like teeter back and forth between like feeling like, okay, I understand where the Black man is at. I understand he has been like treated the words like intentionally. He's been the person attacked so that we don't have a strong family. Like I understand the psychology, like the mental trauma, everything. But then
Right.
on the other side, I'm like I'm ready for y'all like to come on. Like my friend told me that someone asked her or told her that it seems like Black women are like just taking over, like we doing our thing, we're getting healthy, we trying to evolve, manifest or whatever,
Mhm.
even an aside, I don't know if this spiritual thing, if it's gonna really last or if it's just a trend, but anyway, so like Black women are doing it up, right? And
Right.
she was like, so do you think like Black women are taking over? And I was like, when I think of the Black woman, right, I think of like Mother Earth. And I feel like right now, just like the earth is trying to take back herself, Like Black women, we're a reflection of that. And we're like taking back
That's
our
it.
womanhood. We're nurturing, we're trying to heal the nation back.
Yeah.
And I just feel like it's not that we trying to take over, but we are waiting on Black men to like come out of that trauma. So
Oh,
like,
that's
what do you think it
and see,
takes?
our purpose. And see, so the where we fit in, and I'm for that, right? It was a part of me that wanted to kind of contest a little bit of what you said, but I'm all for that. But as Black men, our purpose is to be your protector while you're doing that, right? While you're trying to come back into your full self, we have to be the protector to allow you to do that and create and help create this reality that we all are going to benefit from. But I think, just in speaking on that, I don't want to get too controversial or whatever, but I feel like the Black woman, she really is progressing at a rate faster than Black man, right? Black men. And a lot of what's going on, I feel like is coming from higher places being pushed down. But I don't want the Black woman, and I think she's already there, to get to a point where she looks down on the Black man because she's better than. So you have Black women, you have more Black women making, 6-figure salaries than Black men, right? And so now you have all these women saying, I'm looking for a high quality man, and I can't find none because there's only a small percentage of Black men that are making that salary. And so you have a large group of Black women all going for a very, very small group of Black men. And then there's this like shunning of the rest of that group. And I think we're not going to get to where we want to be if we have that dynamic when you speak about the Black family and restoring the Black family. If that is going to happen, the reality is, if things stay the way they are now, Black women are going to have to put salary aside and connect with some of these brothers that are out here that are good brothers that may not be 6-figure ballers, good brothers, you know what I'm saying? And still be willing to play your role as the woman and not be like too masculine in that relationship and not allowing him to be a man. So in order for that family to happen with what's going on, that's going to be important,
Yeah, see, and I agree with you. And I feel like, I'm more focused on, as a Black man, like I said, getting out of your trauma. I do want to know about your assets, but I'm more interested in your relationship with your assets and like where you're at mentally and spiritually. If you're mentally and spiritually together, we can work on the physical.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So that's just kind of what I need the brothers to do.
And it's a group of us. It's a group of us. Believe
Yeah.
I'm in these circles where I see a lot of conscious brothers.
Mhm.
I don't see them all outside of social media really, but I just see a large group of very aware and awakened men. And because I'm in that group, I don't know how bad it is outside. But that all starts with knowledge of self, man. I mean, we have to get knowledge of self. That's where it starts. When you talk about Black consciousness, it all starts with knowledge of self. That is going to allow you to move to the beat and the rhythm that we should be moving to. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, so speaking of knowledge of self, right? So I'm a teacher, right? And I feel I have my own philosophy about education and all of that. So, but like I said, speaking of knowledge of self, what type of education do you think is necessary for well, I was about to say Black students, but it might not be specifically for Black students. You might feel like it's an education that all students should receive.
Yeah, so I mean that's a very complex question, but in general, I would say there's no way that we could expect Europeans or Asians or anybody that's non-African to teach our children. Not going to happen. You know what I'm saying? Like, how do we expect that? Like, these are, our former colonizers. We're still being colonized. Former oppressors. We're still being oppressed to some degree. And we're expecting them to teach our children to be better than their children. or let me say it like this, to compete with their children.
Mm-hmm.
There's going to be a conflict of interest there that we have to be realistic about. And so I would say, for one, we have to teach our own children, right? And we have to teach them we have to teach them with the mindset of, we're raising a nation to be the most advanced or most um, intelligent nation of people on the earth. Because it is a competition in this third dimension. You know, if we're existing in this realm, we're not in the fifth dimension yet. So here, that's one of the factors of the third dimension is competitive. And so we have to keep that in mind when we have to treat education the same way we treat football and basketball and everything else.
So how would the Black child's education look different than like the typical public education school, public systems curriculum?
So I would say in general, like what I would use if I was to create this school, right? I would use the Kemetic temples or the mystery schools as a template.
Mm-hmm.
I'm learning about that now. I don't know every single detail about what they had in there, but it didn't just cover the math and the engineering and the medicine. It covered all of that, first of all.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't just teach them math and social study and science. They were learning medicine, they were learning engineering. And so definitely we have to be heavy on the sciences if we want to be competitive in this realm. But also cover things like emotional intelligence. It should also cover things about how to properly heal yourself. You know what I'm saying? So how are we learning all this stuff and you don't even know what you're supposed to eat to have a conducive body, like what fuel your body takes? We don't in school, right? And so that is like essential, that we should be learning what foods are conducive for Black bodies, because we are genetically different from everybody else and we have a diet that is different from everybody else. We don't learn that. So it would definitely be a more well-rounded thing with things you would typically say students learn at home.
Mm-hmm.
Then with a lot of technology, science, engineering, all of that.
Okay, I agree. They definitely need like that exposure. So kind of tell me, how is it that were you exposed at an early age to like Black culture, Black excellence, like the academic world? Like what makes you so special? Like why did you have this wisdom so early? Did something happen? I don't know. So I don't know. Usually, so you had a moment of enlightenment or what? What's up?
I mean, only thing I can say is it's natural, because there's nothing in my background that would bring me to this point. Like, my parents often have a problem with some of the things that I say. And they're like, how did you get to this point? We didn't raise you to be, this way or that way. And so, I have conflicts with some family members. So it wasn't exposure from family. Really, I think it would just be, my nature is inquisitive. Like, I want to look for answers, or I question things.
Yeah, yeah.
You question, you're going to find the answer.
Mm-hmm.
And once you're willing to question and find answers, it's going to lead to a never-ending journey of questions and answers. So I think just my nature is just, to ask questions, have led me to this point.
So what advice would you give to someone who's like on this journey of, asking questions and, exploring the self? Because I feel like whenever you do start peeling back layers, it's not this beautiful thing. Like a lot of times you relive trauma. You have to like cut people out of your life. You have to look at yourself and reevaluate things. It's a difficult journey. And a lot of times you are isolated from other people, right? So like, what advice would you give someone who's experiencing kind of, the more choppy waters of the journey?
Well, like the first thing I would say is that you have to be willing to unlearn everything you've learned. That's the first step, because if you're holding on to all this stuff that I was taught, you're never going to really advance on this journey because
Mhm.
the things that we were taught are somebody's truth, but they may not exactly be reality. Um,
Mhm.
and then the next thing is this journey is not for everybody. Like everybody is not willing to make those sacrifices and cut people off or be isolated. Like some people that would just drive them crazy.
Mhm.
They need companionship and whatever. So I've always been good with being alone anyway. Like I actually prefer to be alone. I'm a Virgo. Um, and I'm cool with being by myself for long periods of time, which
Yeah.
a lot of people tell you that's we're not meant to be alone. We're meant to have companionship and be around people. But yeah, I mean, this it won't be for everybody, but you just have to be, willing to accept that and pretty much expect it because you're gonna rub a lot of people the wrong way because they're not coming into this knowledge that you're coming into. So they still
Mhm.
on all the stuff you let go. And they're gonna be mad because you trying to disrupt their truth that they're holding on to.
Yeah.
It's like religion. Like you can tell people things about religion and like gotta ask them questions. Oh no. It's, what you saying make a lot of sense, but you better back up and
Mhm.
get back because you're messing with what I believe and what I hold to be true. So, you know, a lot of people don't want that. And you have to be willing. That's the tough part. You have to be willing to allow them to exist in their space.
Mhm.
You want to just give it to everybody. That's sort of what I'm dealing with now. It's like I want to give you this, but everybody don't want to receive it. So you have to be willing to just step back.
Yeah, I feel like I always feel kind of conflicted about, should I go and try to help the people or should
Yeah.
I just set the example and people tell just let them learn by example. And I always feel like, no, I need to be down in it. I need to be working with the people. But a lot of times that like when you in the middle of it, it burns you out because you're trying to be this light in all this darkness. So
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, I mean it changes, but I feel like you just have to, like you said, maintain your steadiness. Like what your job is, like what your role is. You just kind of know. Like, and
Right.
anytime you try to do something different, or maybe even like you said, you like to be alone. I do too. Anytime you try to fake the funk and fit it, it don't feel right in your soul. You can't do it. Yeah.
Yeah. And we all have our purpose in that role too. Some people's role is to be that light and lead by example, right? And
Hmm.
people who, may want to go out and take the whole profit type approach. So yeah, I think we need all of that.
Okay. All right. So let's see, what else do I have? Okay, so I also saw like you into meditation. I saw you with your Tibetan bowls. Like I really dig that. Like, I teach yoga as well.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. So how do you keep your mind and your body and your spirit in one accord?
Mind, body, and spirit in one accord is what you're saying?
Hmm.
Ooh, that's tough. It's really tough. I will say that. Especially, dealing with corporate America. And I don't have a lot of time right now because I have two little ones that are very young. So they take up a lot of time. And so meditation does bring you back to self. Like anytime you can spend with yourself, I feel like it's going to reground you. And it doesn't have to be meditation in the sense of like, sitting down with your eyes closed, humming or anything like that. Like
Hmm. Hmm.
on my way to work, I have a long commute and I listen to music that's at 432 hertz, um, which is conducive to the body. And I meditate on my way to work, and I spend time with myself, and I actually really enjoy that. Like I really get a fulfillment from that. And so I would just say that anytime I can spend with myself, it just helps to reground me. But yeah, I mean, it definitely is a struggle every day. I ain't gonna front. Like, I'm just all the way locked in.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I feel like I have my different cues that kind of let me know, hey, you off track. Like if my plants are dry, if my plants are like dying in the house, out in the yard, that means I'm off. I'm doing too much. So you just
Yeah.
kind of have to have little signs that let you know to get back on track. But so like a lot of people are getting into meditating. So you said meditation helps keep you grounded. Are there any other benefits that you've experienced from meditating?
Stress. I mean, that's the biggest thing. Like that's, that's why you even having these Western doctors who are not into, holistic or anything like that, who are starting to recommend meditation to their clients because it reduces stress. And so, I'm reading this comedic health book by Dr. Muwata Ashby, and he funnels all disease down to stress, and
Mhm.
stress is the cause of all disease. And so, if you can minimize stress, then I mean you're winning on a lot of levels.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. I feel like now modern science is just proving everything that we knew a long time ago.
Man, you own it. I mean, what
Yeah.
thousands of years ago, and they just catching up with all this technology.
Hmm. Yeah, so I kind of mentioned this earlier. So do you feel like this is like another great awakening, right? Or do you feel like this is going to fizzle out and people are just, if you look on social media, it's like manifest affirmations, spiritual stuff, people burning sage for no reason. Like
Right.
it's everywhere. So do you have faith in I'm asking you a twofold question. I shouldn't do this, but I'm asking. So, do you have faith in this spiritual movement? And I feel
Mhm.
like this, you can't say you can't recognize or acknowledge this spiritual movement without talking about the spiritual movement of Black people at the same time right now.
Right.
So, do you have faith in this movement right
I
now?
definitely, the thing about knowledge is once you learn something, you can't unlearn it. I
Right.
mean, about unlearning all the stuff that we were taught that was, bogus. But once you come into certain awarenesses, you're in that awareness. And so I've heard other people ask that question, and I don't think that there's going to be a relapse. I think we're coming into these awarenesses, and I think you know, they're going to hold true for generations to come. And
Mhm.
so how our parents raised us in the church and raised us to be Christians, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, we're going to now be raising our children according to a lot of metaphysical, a lot of spiritual practices, and then that whole thing. And so that'll, play out for generations. So I definitely don't think it's a phase. I definitely feel like there's a lot of people who may be just doing it because it's hit, it's the new thing.
Mhm.
Body might not be sincere in their spiritual journey, but for the people who are, like, yeah, there's no going back.
Yeah, I agree. It's no going back at all. And this makes me happy because I feel like it's not a lot of times where I feel like I can talk to people about this type of stuff and
Right.
and the conversation just flows and they understand and they like I said, you just have this understanding that you got to let people know and you have to know. Like you
Right.
just know there's more to life. And so with that being said, what do you feel like is like the ingredient that most people are missing when it comes to like just being conscious and aware of I don't even want to say who or what. You can't put a name to it, just like what you exist as. What's the missing ingredient? Why aren't people getting it?
That's a hard one. That's a
I'll
tough
hit
one.
you with a one, two.
So I will say this: there is an element of you have a lot of us out here who are simply trying to survive day to day. The people, those of us who are in that survival mode, they don't have the luxury and the time to sit back and come into a lot of these awarenesses.
Hmm.
Read, study, meditate. It's like, how do you meditate and get into a very secure place if your light bill is due and you 2 months behind, you don't know how you're gonna pay it. You know what I'm saying? That's gonna be tough. And
Mhm.
I feel like, you know, there are those of us who have the luxury of comfort, you know, have a certain level of comfort that allows us the time to sit back and, you know, feel the universe and feel the frequencies and come into that. But a lot of us don't have that. So that's a part of it. And then the other part, like I said, is a lot of people just don't want to question, you know, what is the norm. And so if you're not willing to question, you just gonna be like, you know,
Mhm.
something else. I don't want to hear about that. Like when I hear something information that I don't know, I'm like, okay, this dude think like shit, what he talking about? Damn,
Right, right.
like, I'm gonna go down there and I might do my own little, you know. But a lot of people don't have that nature to them. It's just like, next.
Yeah. Yeah, I really feel like the kind of the good thing about this time is like people are almost being forced to connect in different ways, like you and I are doing. And I
Right.
definitely feel like I'm a powerful person, but I feel like if I see that somebody else is like, we got the same message, we trying to do the same thing, we will have more of an impact if we
Oh,
collaborate. And I
oh,
do feel like more people are doing that, and we're able to just like speak on these platforms without anybody telling us what we can or can't talk about. So I do feel I'm hopeful. And even if other people aren't doing what they're supposed to do, I know within my universe
right.
we're gonna be making something shake, okay? And
Yeah,
so
yeah. And to
yeah,
that,
okay, so I have
I was
so
gonna say to that other question you asked me about. I want to throw this in. You was talking about black people and this whole spirituality thing, like how that fits in with us. I
mhm,
definitely feel like in order for us to get where we want to be as far as liberation and changing our reality, we're gonna need that. We're gonna need that spiritual element. And me personally, I feel like we're gonna need a lot of the things out of African spirituality specifically to accomplish this, because a lot of those things really manifest powerfully in the physical realm. And so uh, that is our, you know, that's our stuff. Like that's the stuff that we have developed over millennia to help us here in this realm. And we're
mhm.
away from that, but I definitely feel like coming back into that would definitely like help us on our journey.
Okay, so I gotta ask you, what do you think about people moving back to Africa? I see a lot of people doing it, and I think it's to me, it reminds me of like the 60s when a lot of people moved to either France or Africa and they got the hell on. They left like a lot of artists. So what do you think about it?
I love it, man. I mean, all of it is, you know, the earth is our turf, period. But you know, I definitely feel like that's dope. I don't feel like they're running or leaving the struggle because it's a even tougher struggle over there. You
Hmm.
know, people seem to think or may think like, oh, when I go to Africa, it's gonna be peaches and cream. And I'm around black people, like Africa is more colonized than us.
Right.
Is, you know, even some of the countries that are free, they still have, you know, colonizer strongholds where
Yeah, and their mindset is still.
yeah,
Hmm.
exactly. So most of the people that are over there will tell you that Africa is like 50 years behind as far as the people and coming into these awarenesses. Not everybody.
Hmm.
You know, I definitely feel like it's dope to be around more of you. But I think like we as a whole, we do have to start thinking about land as a thing, because there's no way we're going to create a reality that is conducive for us and not being controlled by someone outside of us if we don't have that. I mean, that's the foundation of it. It starts with land. And so we have to seriously start thinking about that and having that conversation. It's like, where do we want to build our tribe? If we can't do it here, are we willing to go somewhere else? It's going to be a very small group of people.
Yeah, man. I don't know. We talking about some big stuff.
Yeah, yeah. That's it.
Yeah.
But hey,
Okay. Well, my last question. Actually, I keep saying I got two more questions. Two more. Okay. So the English teacher in me wants to ask you, what is a book or maybe a lyric or maybe a song or a book that you feel like changed the way that you see things or change your life?
Book or a song? Um, let's see, that's a good one. Um, so I would say The Destruction of Black Civilization by Chancellor Williams. You know, it's a it's a lot of gems in there. I mean, that's a good place to start
Mm-hmm.
for a lot of people on this journey, but it really will flare up a lot of emotions and a lot of like, it's gonna flare up that anger. Yeah, it's gonna do something for you, but it's a lot of knowledge in there, and I didn't know that. Like, we don't even be aware. Like a lot of people are not even aware that something like that exists, where this man took 15 years of his life and actually traveled all throughout Africa and actually went to all the museums and actually
Mm-hmm.
all of this stuff to put together a comprehensive historical document for us. Like that, I would say he dedicated his life to be able to give Black people something about themselves. And
Mm-hmm.
there's a large group of us that don't even know that exists. And so, going into that, I definitely didn't know that it was going to be that like full.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, that was like, you know, very impactful, I would say.
Okay, yeah, that was a part of that unlearning experience you talking about, where it's you unlearn it and it hurt.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So my last question is another big question, and that is, what is what is God to you?
I like that one. Um, um, God is the totality of all creation, right? And so when you look at everything in the universe and what the universe is, that is God. And everything that is in the universe is a small aspect of the creator so that the creator can experience himself in different ways. Because if you are the all, how do you perceive and observe yourself in the all? Right? So you have to create aspects of you so that you can experience yourself in different ways. And so that's how I perceive God. It's like um God is in all living things, and we're all a small part of what God is. And then to put it in like another term, it's like God is the one. And the more aware and the more conscious you become, the more you understand that there's only one. All of this stuff out here, it all comes back to one thing. And there's just different levels of self, and the higher up you go on that level of self, there's one. So it's like you look at yourself, right? You got I don't know how many trillion cells in your body. All of your cells in your body, you're the higher being to them. You're God to the cells in your body, right? They're all doing their own thing. You got
Yeah.
over here, it's doing its thing. You're not thinking about it. Liver is serving its purpose. They're all moving and doing their job, but you're God, because if you don't give them what they need to function, they can't function, right? And so they live inside of you as one, and then you live inside the earth as one. So you looking like, man, come on, like I'm just speck on the earth, right? But just think about all a cell is to you. And so the earth, we're all serving up, as part of the earth. And then the earth is part of the universe. And so you got these different levels of self. And
Mm-hmm.
like, this is my higher self, this is my higher self. But ultimately, there's the one being, and everything falls into that one being. So there's only one, and God is the one, if that makes sense.
Ooh, okay. That was really good. That was awesome. That was a beautiful analogy. The analogy and just the math of the microcosm within the microcosm within the microcosm. That was, I like that answer. That's what's up. That was beautiful. I think that's
Thank
a
you.
perfect way to wrap it up.
Most definitely.
Yeah, that was
Having
beautiful.
me as a guest, man, that's cool. I appreciate it.
Yeah, so thank you.